Hi there. You might have just stumbled in here by accident, or more likely you know me from my other podcasts. More about those later in context. First though, let's finish this cold open. You know, the section right up here up front where it's just me, the host, talking to you, the listener. And in keeping with other podcast formats that people love, we're going to kick off with some theme music now that I hope you'll also come to know and love. Get ready. It's positively Spielbergian. Or should I say Williamsian, as in John Williams. Anyway, here we go. Have a listen and you tell me. I'm coming to you today from a slightly noisy but quite lovely Airbnb in Los Angeles, which isn't my home now, but which was my US home for many years, ever since 2002 and up until relatively recently. Atlanta and other parts of the Deep South were my incubator through early adulthood, when my life circumstances and career necessities synced up with my inner voice, which I was starting to really listen to at the time, and helped propel me to relocate west. Now, LA was an amazing place to live and grow up even more, but eventually I developed skills and a curiosity in other cultures that led me to travel ever farther west. So far, in fact, that I ended up in the East, Beijing, China to be specific, which is where I live today, but which is not where I am today. That would be Los Angeles, as previously discussed, or where I was just 10 days ago, which was in Paris, which is another story for another show 3 to be exact. So are you confused yet? Don't worry, so am I, but that's enough backstory on me for the moment. More will come out as we roll along. The one key part to know to make sense of this show is that I created it in the first place to better reflect this particular and peculiar life I'm living, and to learn from some of the other people I meet along the way who have mostly also had a similarly non-traditional background. They are at least semi-nomadic in various ways. They're from one place, were raised and initially formed by another, and then they have been transformed in still other ways, big and small, by the places they lived, worked, and traveled ever since. Now, this is generically true of almost anyone in a way, but it's especially true of the people I'll be talking with on this show. People like Fred Taylor. In his words, Fred is a, quote, Atlanta OG film and video director producer, end quote, who has defied stereotypes to define himself on his terms, and who we'll meet next week. There's Stuart Carraris, a record producer, musician, songwriter, and engineer from Monroe, Louisiana, whose journey to Hollywood led him through the floodwaters of Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. I talked with Jerry James, an entrepreneur who made it from small-town West Virginia to the upper ranks of the corporate world before leaving to captain his own ship, which took him to the UAE and now Paris to live, which is where I met him a month ago. There's Raymond Ma, who was born in Hong Kong and reluctantly moved to Hawaii in high school with his family, where he landed an ultimately life-changing gig on the original TV show Hawaii Five-0, the one that starred Jack Lord, before he relocated to Los Angeles and built the decades-long career he has now enjoyed as a successful working actor. And there are people like Carl Bressler, an actor and deeply respected Hollywood-based entrepreneur. Carl studied with Stella Adler. He built a leading talent agency. He's invested in numerous restaurants and advised countless startups in entertainment and the tech world. And Carl has been a great friend and mentor of mine for years, so it was really great to talk to him. Now, as different as all of these people are from each other, aside from some occasional superficial industry overlaps, what unites them is that they are all deeply accomplished and have had some hard-won victories as well-fought defeats to learn from. And, most importantly from my point of view here, is that they were all willing to sit down and let me ask them some real questions about all of this. The good, the bad, and the things that even people who think they know them well don't necessarily know at all. Because on this show, even if I do know the guests fairly well, I'm asking the kinds of questions that I'd ask if I knew them better. Hence our apparently very podcasty title, or so I've been told. Hope you like it. Let me know what you think about that. One quick note about my other shows, in case or since that's likely how you might have discovered this one in the first place. To me, If I Knew You Better is a spiritual outgrowth of my original podcast, Big Fish in the Middle Kingdom. That show is all about interesting people who had moved or returned to China to do big things. And that show had a great regular run, and I'll still do occasional episodes of it when I have the right guests and opportunity and I'm in China myself. But that's the key. Since my filmmaking work has been taking me outside of China more and more, and I already have another China show, How China Works, co-hosted with the amazing Ying Li, I don't need a second one. So I've been thinking long and hard about the type of show I could create that would combine all my favorite things. The long-form interview with fascinating guests that merges thoughtful and funny, plus a love of learning the deeper, real story behind things, in a way that reflected my own geographically shifting reality. I need it to be location agnostic, and I want it to reflect my own changing internal landscape as well. If I Knew You Better is the result. Alright, that's enough for this week. Carl did a variation on the main title theme as an outro for me too, which you should hear right about now, as I remind you to please search for and subscribe to this show wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to tell a friend or two to check it out. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week on If I Knew You Better.